At this point, it had been approximately 3, maybe 4 weeks after Allison had drowned in the lake, and nothing ever really went back to normal. Especially around the house. I think we all felt this uneasy feeling whenever especially at nighttime, and it's kind of hard to explain, but we felt this presence around the house, and it was enough for us to be paranoid enough to set up a few cameras at night while we were all asleep. And I really wasn't expecting to find anything through this, but we did. Now, as convincing as that footage may be, this right here is the true culprit. This is the Flash from the Justice League. I believe it or not, I actually found him outside of the movie theater right across the street, just over by the dumpster. I don't know who threw him away, but he did one thing. He proved no ghost here. Yeah, no Allison. Just the Flash. Welcome back to yet another installment of my 13 Days of Halloween 2019. I'm going to be trying to do 13 horror movie reviews for the month of October, or just for the remaining of the month. I know, I think I have to upload every single day until Halloween in order to get to my 13 Days of Halloween completely completed, unlike last year where I only got 9 movies in. But this is a series where I review a lot of movies I have never seen before, all of them which are horror movies. So today I'm going to review a movie that I heard about probably a month ago. I heard of this movie. It's called Lake Mungo. I'm sure none of you guys have ever heard of this movie. I am going to highly recommend you guys watch it. It is on Amazon Prime for free. You can watch it there. It's fairly short. It's like an hour and a half. It's a very, very simple movie that is done very, very well and has a great premise, great twists and turns. Remind me a lot of Searching, which is why I had the poster up for that movie today. But I love this movie. I did a little spoof for it, as you guys saw in the intro of the movie, or of the video, and it's just, oh my gosh, I loved this movie, which is surprising because after I actually watched this twice in 2 days because I want to do a full analysis of this video. So spoilers for Lake Mungo in this video. I want to do a full analysis, my thoughts, my theories of the ending in particular. So if you guys have not seen Lake Mungo, definitely go check this one out. I'm highly recommend you guys seeing it. So let me give you a bit of a premise of the movie before I get into spoilers of what this movie is about. Lake Mungo is essentially a mockumentary. I hate calling it a mockumentary because, mockumentaries are fake documentaries kind of mocking, documentaries, obviously. But this one isn't really mocking it. It's more so using that format and that technique to tell a found footage-esque type movie without being found footage. It's a documentary. I looked up twice when I was watching this movie the first time to make sure that this actually wasn't real because the actors are so great in the movie, and it's about this family whose daughter dies in a tragic accident. She drowns in this lake, and it's very sad. This is honestly one of the saddest horror movies I've ever seen. But that's the basic premise of this movie. There's a documentary about this, and it's really a mystery, digging deep into the history and all the mysteries and all the secrets that this girl, I think her name was Allie, all the mysteries that this girl left behind. And it's very fascinating. It has lots of twists and turns like Searching does. I don't want to say anything more about the movie. Go watch this movie on Amazon. So let's get into what I loved, what I didn't like, spoilers, and everything about Lake Mungo. And like I said, I thought all of the performances in this movie were so real. It felt so genuine in that these people were actually grieving the loss of their daughter. And it's not just that they were grieving it at the certain time of like immediately after. This felt like it's been a good amount of time afterwards. They're doing this documentary. They're digging up all these feelings that they had buried for the past ever since she passed away, and it feels so raw and so real. And the things that this script, by the way, is incredible. The writer and director, who has only done this one movie, he has no other credits on IMDb whatsoever. He kind of disappeared off the face of the earth after making this movie. He does a great job writing this script and writing dialogue that feels so real. And I think I heard that in behind the scenes, he gave the actors plot points and they had them essentially improv a lot of the lines, but take what happened to their characters and had them kind of go off of it, off script, and just have them say things that felt real and natural. I thought this was great direction and great acting all across the board. Joel Anderson directed this movie. I know Chris Stuckman is doing a whole campaign to try to find this guy because nobody really knows where he is. Nobody, like, he doesn't do interviews. He doesn't do anything, any press for this movie whatsoever because this movie was really buried. I'm not sure if it had really any release in theaters at all. IMDb doesn't even have a Metascore, like, total score and a critic rating on IMDb. It just has an audience score that's at like 6.5, which is very, very low because I don't think many people have seen this movie, and at least the people that would really, truly appreciate it. But this movie, like I said, with the direction of the script, has many twists and turns. And so basically, the daughter drowns and the family's grieving and they're trying to figure out what happened. And the first thing that you find out is that she has a lot of secrets. Most of them being that she had a huge, like, sexual relationship with their neighbors, and that is all found out. It's very creepy, very unsettling. The tone and the atmosphere of this movie, ever since the opening scene, and how there's kind of like this underlying atmosphere and score and ambient noises in the background of the opening, and hearing what the daughter has to say, like, oh, I feel like I'm gonna die. I feel like something really bad is gonna happen to me, and all these terrible things. And her last wish was really to let her family know all her secrets and to really know who she was. Because the message of this movie is you can never really know anybody completely. You can know them for the most part, what they share with you, but you'll never truly know someone, which is a very deep and kind of troubling idea to think about. And for the longest time, this movie feels like a ghost movie, which it definitely is. But it's not at the same time because it presents itself as this ghost movie where the son decides to set up a bunch of cameras around the house like it did in the opening of this video. And, you know, he sets up the cameras and you see a figure walk across. You see Allie's, like, figure in the background of different photos and all these different places captured by multiple different people and not just him. So it's very convincing. And the reason behind this is he did this all himself. You know, he forged all these images. He put videos of Allie when she was alive in the background, and reflections in mirrors and all this very, very complex thing just to get her mom, or to get their mom to exhume the body to see if it was truly her, because it turns out that the dad was the only one who examined the body to make sure that it was her, and so the mom never got any closure. So that's another great thing that this movie does, is it gives each character a different story. Like the dad, he got his full closure, so he is more skeptical about everything. Yes, he does believe that there is a ghost at one point, but towards the end of the movie, you know, he believes... He doesn't really believe in all these things that the mom ends up believing by the end of the movie, because the mom has one of the best stories in this movie, and it's kind of that mother-daughter relationship where they never really expressed that she loved her, and it's very heartbreaking that she never got the closure that she needed, and the son doing this gives her a closure, and it's very cool. It's awesome. I love this entire story in this movie. And yes, I know I kind of got ahead of myself. This is where you find out about the sexual affair with the neighbors and how that was very creepy, because the mom is looking through some of the footage after the son reveals that it was him the whole time, and it zooms into the other side of the frame, which is terrifying, because a lot of these found footage-esque type things that the son records, right? You focus on the things that he shot, right? The things that they zoom in slowly on, and these figures that he set up. But all at the same time, there's one shot where they zoom into the other side of the frame, and there was that creepy neighbor ducking in her room trying to find these tapes that they recorded. And it's very, very unsettling. This entire movie turns from a ghost story to this weird, creepy thing about her and her strange history and all these secrets that she had and all these dark things that she was, and the fact that nobody really knew her exactly. And, you know, everybody said she was popular at school. She had a lot of friends. She went on this trip to Lake Mungo with a bunch of people, and this is where the movie takes another twist and shift, where maybe there was a ghost and she was getting these premonitions of her death, and she shot this terrifying shot in this movie where it's her phone camera footage, and, you know, she's recording and she's kind of walking. There's a figure out in the distance, and she's walking closer towards it, and it comes closer towards her, and it turns out it's her own body, that her drowned self, the mangled face and everything that she recorded months before her actual death. And so she was seeing these things. She was waking up with these nightmares. It was very, very haunting. It's actually kind of terrifying thinking back. When I was watching the movie the first time, I wasn't necessarily scared by this movie, but thinking back at it and watching it a second time, it's very creepy, very atmospheric, and it's chilling, especially that one shot, especially after digging into this movie and trying to figure out what it's really about, and after knowing these twists and turns, it gets even more scary. And knowing how things fall together, especially with the ending scene. Most documentaries, you know, have that nice little tight bow, wrap it up perfectly. This movie ends it off in a very, like, it leaves it up to interpretation, which is what a lot of great movies should do. You should always, like, I learned this in my screenwriting class. If a screenplay is a circle, right, you want to start your circle this way, and you want to go all the way back, but you never want to completely close that circle. You want to leave enough space for people to want more and to speculate, but you also want to have enough of a circle to make it not feel like you're missing a bunch of the story. And so what this movie does brilliantly at the end, during some after credit sequences as the credits are rolling along, they go into some other footage, the other videos that the son took. The picture that kind of sparked the whole thing is the picture where the son, kind of forged Allie's photo inside of it, and it goes to the opposite side of that photo, and you see that there actually was a ghost of Allie falling through. And this is where I need to bring up the entire psychic storyline, which is one of the coolest concepts that this movie decides to do. And this is the part that I kind of want to explain, because this is the part that I was confused about and that I did research on, and I kind of got my own theories on how this works. So if you watch the movie and if you are confused by the ending, this is my take on what happened. So after Alice went to Lake Mungo and she saw the figure of her own death, and she started having these premonitions and these dreams that she was going to die, after all this happens, she goes to this psychic, and basically what the psychic does is they put a camera up, he records footage for the client and for himself to keep, and basically he tells them to sit down, to close their eyes, and to picture where they are during these nightmares or during these things. And she tells a story about how she's at her house and she's walking through and she's in her bedroom, and it's very creepy because the atmosphere and the whole this format of this movie is kind of genius. I don't know why no other found footage horror movies have used this documentary format, or at least movies that I haven't heard of. Maybe somebody has done this before, but it was just such a cool technique. But anyways, the way that she describes these things, and cuts between her describing these things and her mom, because the psychic ends up talking to them, and it's a whole thing where he didn't tell the family that he knew Alice and they had conversations before, and then he's talking to the family, having the same thing with the mother, having her close her eyes and try to think of different things, and it's the mom also starting at the front of the house, walking inside and going into the bedroom, and these two stories coincide with each other, and if you play them back and forth, they're seeing each other. And this is what is genius about this movie. So whenever Alice was in the psychic's office, think of these things, or her nightmares, her dreams of her seeing that she died, that is her ghost. Her ghost in the present time, that the footage that they captured is Alice in the psychiatric place, talking to the psychiatrist, and her figure walking around is what she was explaining in those footages, what she was having the dreams about. And that is a very, very genius storytelling. Like, a lot of ghosts, end up being scary or being terrifying or end up being the villain of the story, but this ghost was a friendly ghost. It was the ghost of the girl trying to stop her own death, and that is something that is very heartbreaking. And I love this movie, and the concept and the ideas that they throw at you is so fascinating. This is a movie that I just found completely fascinating. It's something I'm going to definitely watch many, many more times. Like I said, I watched it twice in 2 days just for this video, just because I loved the feeling that it gave me. It's not necessarily the scariest thing. Like I said, it gets very creepy and very unsettling, but there's no jump scares. It's a found footage movie or a found documentary movie that is very, very realistic. Like, I still feel like it's real. I still feel like these actors did an amazing job, and it is one of the best movies that I've seen in a long time, and it's very unique. Nothing I've ever seen before. So I know I just spoiled the crap out of this movie, but if you have not seen Lake Mungo and you watched all of this, I still highly recommend watching this movie to get those performances, to try to figure out that ending for yourself. If what I said here gave any or piqued any interest in you whatsoever, watch Lake Mungo. It's free on Amazon Prime if you get your free month, or if you have like Amazon Prime. Who doesn't have Amazon Prime? Amazon's amazing. You get your delivery packages. It's not advertised by Amazon whatsoever, but just go watch this movie. I think it is very worth it. I am so glad I watched this for my 13 Days of Halloween series. This movie that came on my radar about a month ago. I kept on hearing some things about this. People thinking it's now becoming a cult movie where people are starting to find it, people are starting to love it. And I think it's great that a movie like this with absolutely probably zero budget, something that feels very like this, the only movie this director has ever made, and now people are finally catching on to it and finding it, and I think that is just awesome. So that is my review for Lake Mungo, my analysis, everything, all my thoughts. I love this movie. Go check it out. Thanks for watching my 13 Days of Halloween video. I did Little Monsters yesterday. I did this movie today. Tomorrow I'm going to do Friday the 13th because I've never seen Friday the 13th, and I actually just watched it just before recording this video. and I have some thoughts on that movie. So that video will be out tomorrow as well for my 13 Days of Halloween series. Subscribe to the channel to see more reviews just like this one. Leave a like, comment below what you thought of Lake Mungo, and I hope to see you all in my next one.